Everyone's heard of Muzz. It's a Muslim marriage app that's gone global. What most people don't know is that it may be on its way to becoming the first truly Muslim unicorn, a billion-dollar company built on faith.
And behind this story lie questions that single Muslims are asking. How do you actually find someone on Muzz? What makes a profile stand out? And what are people really looking for?
In this episode, we sit down with Shahzad Younas, the founder of Muzz, to unpack the story, the data, and the secrets behind how Muslims are finding love today. Shahzad, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to just give a quick introduction to yourself for those who don't know you?
Shahzad Younas, founder, CEO of Muzz, world's biggest Muslim marriage app. Actually now 10 million members strong, so we've grown a lot, alhamdulillah. So we're always the biggest, but other people try and say it. We're officially the biggest. 500,000 people around the world have actually got married on Muzz now. So our mission is transforming how Muslims meet and marry, and I think everybody knows someone who got married from Muzz, so it works.
Good. And how many babies are you responsible for?
Oh, too many, babies I don't know about. A lot, everywhere I go, alhamdulillah, like people stop me in the street. They might say good things, might say bad things about Muzz, but so many times I'll stop and think, oh, I either I got engaged or married from your app. This is my husband, this is my kids, etc. So it's amazing.
I know people who've been married through Muzz. You probably do.
My best friend just got married through Muzz.
There you go.
2 weeks ago.
We're going to use that as an app. I'm going to play that 10 seconds.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of so many people? Yeah, it's just honestly, it's amazing.
It is. Like I was at an event yesterday, and there were people there who went to events I used to do more than 12 years ago, back when Muzz was like barely anything, and they were like, "My God!" Like I still remember those days, and alhamdulillah, like look at it now.
So I remember after Jummah, because I don't know if you still go to Redbridge Mosque.
Yeah, I do.
So I remember this was probably like 2015, 2016, when early days of was you're giving out leaflets outside. I remember those days, So
you have to do. I'm always telling the guys, you have to be shameless, number one, and this is the stuff you got to do. We had no money then, so it was handing out cards. It was, man, I still remember the stuff I used to do. I look back, going, you guys, to my team, you guys have got it so easy now. It was stressful early days.
Despite the drawbacks of these big corporations and their greed and, the turbo capitalism, I do think they instill within, the workers a sense of professionalism and, kind of understanding what it takes to make it within that environment. And I'm thinking those are actually good transferable skills for Muslims when they launch startups. Because one thing I've found is that Muslims who work in these large corporates, they're actually generally more professional, better communication. They have more what it takes to succeed. But would you say there's actually a benefit in starting your career in these kind of, not so good environments, but to learn those good skills?
I completely agree. I look at even now, and when I made the transition from banking to what I do now, my comfort around finance, around being professional, meetings, pressure, discipline, taking risks, all these things. You learn. I learned in the bank, right? And that's for me, that's the foundation of how I am now as a professional. I can deal with, for example, on a trading front, you're literally dealing with 10 different things happening at the same time. You have to multitask because there's no other way, and you've got loads of bits of information flying around, and you're trying to figure stuff out. It's the same when you're a CEO, and especially as a company grows, that happens more and more. And I'm very good at context switching and all this kind of stuff. But then you're right, the graft, the professionalism, all that stuff. Yeah, that's learned at these places. And we've had it. I've had personal experience where we've hired people who are the Gen Z types, right? Where they're straight into a career like this, and they just don't. There's such a gap in their expectation and what they think is professional and what actually is professional. And you have to say no. There's graft behind this, and not everything comes easy. We've talked about this before, but our team is very diverse, and we have. Look at it. We have more non-Muslims working for than Muslims, right? Who've come from all sorts of professional companies, etc. And I've always been frustrated, especially when I see Muslim organizations where you're right, the majority of the employees either are all Muslim, which isn't a problem in itself, but then it's their background. So you're right, they've just come through the charity sector or whatever. The quality of thinking isn't there because it's easy, I'm not knocking it. There's plenty of good people in the charity sector, plenty not so good people, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But there's it's that level of demand for excellence. It just isn't there.
That's one thing I noticed.
See it.
Both of you guys who've launched startups is that you have this idea that you have to hire the best people if you want to build a great company.
Totally, and that's all I care about. I'm like, And that's why we have so many non-Muslims, because and don't get me wrong, I've
It's
interviewed,
about hiring the best, isn't it?
yeah, and I've interviewed plenty of Muslims, and it sounds bad, and I've talked about this. Like, I feel sad that some Muslims, it seems, if I say statistically, I get let down more by Muslims than not. I'm like, why? This should not be the case. And it's an expectation thing as well. Like, we've definitely, I remember, I actually remember we've had some of the early hires, and they were worried about Muslim ones who were worried about joining because they thought it'd be like a Muslimy, where everything's like inshallah and it's all good. And I was like, no, we, and I was like, no, we try and be professional here. Like, we're not perfect, of course we're not, but like, we try and have good process. We try and do things the right way. And afterwards, they were like, actually, I was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't all of that.
So let's move on to marriage. What increases your chances of finding a partner on Muzz? So is there data that shows, like, people who have a certain photo or have their bio in a certain way or whatever it is? Like, what will increase your chance of getting married?
The most basic thing is just be serious. Like, you'd be amazed. I always say for men, the bar is so low, unfortunately, because let's say to stand out, because a lot of men don't know how to, I don't want to say behave, but act or go on that journey of trying to find a partner, right? So start right from the start. You mentioned about like your bio, your profile. Just put some time into your profile. Like, put some normal photos, not you in front of your leased car. Girls aren't into that, and they're not. They did, like, I always say, just wear a shirt. It's like not that complicated, right? Be presentable. So like, that's like number one. No gym selfies. Like, no one wants to see the guns, So it's like that. So basic things on your profile. Have some thought about what you're actually looking for, like what you do want and what you don't want, and that's totally fine. Just have it up front, because then it helps both sides. It helps women who see your profile actually figure out, actually, yeah, he's my cup of tea, or actually, no, he's not. So I do think the basics there. Then it comes to your interactions, how you use the app, how you talk to people. Also, like, just give people time and attention. Like, don't have 10 conversations that you're trying to juggle, because you won't do anyone justice, number one. Have initial conversations. I always say move things along. Like, we added like voice and video calling in the app for free. And I'm always like, get moving, because you'll know in 5 minutes of meeting someone if there's remotely a future there or not. Are you attracted to them? Do you like their personality, their energy, whatever, all those things? You'll know it in 5 minutes, and again, it shows intent. If I look at people, so on average, people who actually get married on Muzz, it takes them 6 months from signing up to leaving, saying, thank you, I found the one. It's an average of 6 months, quite consistent. And you realize the ones who do are the ones who are generally responsive to messages, the ones who move things along, the ones who get families involved. They're the ones who find the most success.
All right, so let's kind of help people here. What does trying it mean? Does it mean, some people are going to try it, they're going to stick the profile picture on, use it for a day? Like, let's actually define what's trying, just so we can help everybody.
Yeah, you go in with, so I always say, look, start with Bismillah, right? You start with the right intent. I'm going to download this thing and I want to try and find a partner. Great. I'm going to create a profile. Great. Show your profile to your family. It's all good. Like, your family, they can be involved in this whole thing. It's all good, right? Show them, like, is that an appropriate profile? Does it show off? Because it's weird. People have their own opinion of themselves.
Your family knows you.
They know you, right? And they might
that's something
like,
I wouldn't think of, to be honest, but it's very true.
And they might be like, that's not a great photo, or
that doesn't reflect you.
Yeah, that's not really exactly that.
Or Shahzad looks good in blue, or
yeah, exactly. I'm more a mint green type of guy, So I do think, like, so do that. Second bit is, like I said, use it, right? Like, browse people on there. It's the whole point. Show people who you like them, right? If you end up matching with people, give them the time. Don't be the guy collecting loads of matches that go nowhere. What's the point of that? Like, it's one thing that we're going to solve now, where I'm like, there's no point of an app where you have 30 matches and you talk to one. What is the point? It's a waste of everyone's time. So that's one thing that we're building some things now to try and solve for that. So anyone you match with, talk to them, get to a conclusion. If you feel like not really feeling it, just say, you know what, I don't think this is working. Let's just leave it there. Great. You're saving them time and them heartache, and your time and your heartache, right? So I just say, like, just use it with intent. I always say, go help each other out. Like, people can be, weirdly, when they're single and they're meeting people can be quite horrible or very selfish in the whole journey. Just be nice. Just tell them, what, I don't think we're suited. It's all good. It's all good, So just be nice to people. Help them out on their journey. Use it with intent. If you need to take a break. Go offline. It's all good. It's a journey. It's an emotional journey. And we see it in the data. Women by far will dip in and out of the app a lot. Way more. It's so interesting. Again, it's how we're wired differently. A lot of women, when they match, they're they get very, emotionally invested, if you will, quite quickly, relatively. I think Muslim women probably a lot more than non-Muslim women. Whereas men, so let's say it doesn't work out, it really hurts. And they're like, I'm going to take a break from this whole thing. Whereas a man, it doesn't work out, he's like, no, it didn't work out. Right, next. Within reason, right? Just wired differently, right? So take a break. But I genuinely say, with anyone you meet, you're talking to, get it moving. Either reach some next step, conversation, video call, voice call, meeting, or and get to but you want to get to that point quite quickly where you're like, this could be the one, or this is categorically not the one. That's what you're trying to do. Get to that point ASAP.
But I think people also need help on the communication side. So you've been matched with someone. How do you then, what do you say to them? Some people might panic. They might say something silly.
And a lot of, this is sad reality. A lot of Muslim men do not know how on earth to talk to a woman. Yeah. And it's embarrassing. It really is. And I always say, and it's kind of interesting, I always say we give each other, and Muslim women complain about this, and I'm always like, we give each other a hard time, the community, if you will. But I'm like, we haven't really had the best training, because you're right. We generally have grown up where don't talk to girls. All this, you haven't had that whole education of how to talk to the opposite gender, right?
For your next product.
Yeah, no doubt. Bring the ummah together, but it's true. We haven't had that. And so for me, it's like, it's a whole education. We're thrown into marriage without all this.
It's just what we spoke about at the beginning, when we were talking about the skills that you learn from the corporate and bringing those in, it's the same thing. Like, learn those skills, bring them in. If you don't have the skills, go and learn them.
Yeah. And it's true. And it sounds weird. It's not rocket science. And I always just say, just be nice. It's not hard to be nice, and that helps you on your journey. Like,
I would rephrase that. Just be genuine.
Yeah, because you might not be a nice person.
Be genuine, because some people, they're going to be fake nice.
Yeah. I know, that's probably true. Because
genuine,
that saves everyone time. There's no point putting a fake image of yourself and heavily filtered and having I was talking about almost AI, everything, right? And I've been thinking about this for AI in the role of, call it dating, if you will. And I'm like, here's my problem with it, and which is why we don't really have much in the way of AI on Muzz. If you look at what, if you ask anyone, the bane of, I'm going to say dating apps, just as a collective, the bane of dating apps are filtered photos, right? I don't know, does the girl actually look like that? It's all filtered, blah, blah, blah. And they meet in person, they're like, who the hell's this, right? So you've got that, which is already makes it harder to find out who's genuine, right? And get a good impression of someone. We all look different, we act different, but somehow there's a person for everyone. There is. I'm forever an optimist, always, And I'm a big believer in that. And that's the thing. And you're just trying to find that one person.
One thing that's quite interesting, right? You mentioned a comment about women find it pretty hard, but then you mentioned a statistic the other day. What was it about men?
Oh, that 10% of men get 90% of the women.
Yeah.
I'm wondering to what extent that applies in the Muslim community.
You're right, of course. There's a certain category of men who get a lot of the attention, a lot, right? And it's harder than ever. And this is the flip side of what apps do, because it's all... they say this whole, you have too much choice. I'm not fully subscribed to that opinion, but let's say you have this choice, this pool. Of course, then when you have an ability to filter that pool, it sounds brutal, and I'm not knocking, but who's going to search for the unemployed person? No one is, right? There's a reality to a situation. And therefore, then it becomes not just I'm going to search for the guy with the job, I'm going to search for the guy with the best job, or these particular jobs, right? And it does become hard. If you're stuck in that lower bracket, you're like, what the hell about me?
Okay, but let's talk about some actionable things that 90% can do.
I actually think a lot of it, and you can get by being... serious and genuine. I'm not even I'm telling you, the bar is low, because even of that, call it high caliber of men, there's a particular subset who aren't that great even to talk to.
So my friend, he spoke to his now missus, but when he went to meet her for the first time, his sister's his friend, right? So he took his sister with him.
Okay. I would guarantee a girl will be like, respect this guy.
And that's exactly what she did.
Brownie points, right?
That's exactly what happened.
And even, here's a pro tip for the men. Offer it. And by that, if you're going to meet with someone, if you want to bring a friend, totally fine. I guarantee the lady will be like, she'll hold you in such a high regard just for that alone. Whether she does or not is a different story, but just by offering it, because it shows, A, you're serious, your intent's good. It's for the right reason. Why do you bring a mahar and why do you do all this? I mean, obviously, you should always meet in a public place. That's just, for me, is point blank, right? Number one. But number two is, it just shows, I'm serious about this. I want to try and do it right. I have your the mahram is there to show your best wishes, right?
Do you have a favorite success story on Muzz? Like something that just like blew your mind? Like, wow, these two people came together.
There was one actually recently, and they just celebrated their 5 years. And I'm always amazed. This is Allah's, trust me, the magic. The magic, you see it. So 5 years ago, and this was during COVID, I guess there were two separate, obviously, single parents. They both had kids. They were both divorced, etc. Their kids on both sides created a profile for them. Their kids were liking them, swiping on the app for them, for the parents. They ended up matching. The kids organized their first date, if you will, which was just, I think it might have been at Nando's or something like that, where both families just met up. The parents like looked at each other, started talking, and both of them were just like, okay, let's do this. And they got married. 5 years. And the daughter emailed me again, because she sent me a little gift, because I was just so like blown away by this whole story. And she was like, I just like, thank you again. 5 years. My parents, obviously her stepdad now, I guess, but super happy. Her mum's super happy. She's like, it means so much to see my mum happy, etc. And they're like 60-plus-year-old couple. And
did the kids know they were messaging each other?
Good question, actually. I don't know on that, but it's just, I look at that for me as a story. I'm just like, wow.
That's amazing.
It is, honestly. It blew my mind. And just for our team, like, because the daughter, she got in touch because it was a 5-year anniversary. And like, we're just telling us that, alhamdulillah, like they're still happy and all this stuff. And I'm just like, for me, it's just one of my favorites. My other favorite was an early one in the early days of Muzz when we were tiny. And I think I mentioned this before, but like some guy in Uganda, he emailed in saying, thank you, I found my wife on your app. And I remember thinking, Uganda, we're not even big in Uganda. And I remember looking on the database and literally he was the only guy in Uganda. She was the only woman in Uganda. And like literally, and I'm like, when it's written, it's literally written, So alhamdulillah, like it's so many stories like that. It's honestly, there's some properly amazing stories. We've had stories of people who, who've persisted for a long time and then found someone and they're like, that whole wait was worth it, and it's not all perfect. There've been couples where they've got married on Muzz and it hasn't worked out, and I always say it's the reality of it. And this is one thing I learned early on. When you bring people together, when you work on anything to do with relationships, my God, it's the messiest thing in the world, and this is not, I wouldn't say it's an area I'm the most comfortable with. I'm a logical engineering type of geek guy, right? All this fuzzy relationship stuff is a little bit soft for me, but wherever you just realize, that whole, the sheer messiness that can happen when a man and a woman meet, it's crazy, and good stuff and not so good stuff, and I've always been very upfront by saying, Muzz, it's not perfect. And unfortunately, there are people who misuse it. And I always say the key for us, and this is how I judge it as a platform, the key for us is, do we turn a blind eye to it and just go, yes, all good? Or do we actually do something about it? And we're firmly of the do something about it. I would guarantee we do more than probably some of the biggest apps out there in getting rid of bad people, etc. We blocked and removed, it sounds scary, 500,000 accounts. 500,000. Mostly men. There you go. But 500,000. Because we're like, paying, not paying, I don't care. If you're up to no good, get off.
There's people who criticize Muzz and say there's too many unserious people and so on. At the end of the day, if you look at the pros versus cons, getting 500,000 people married, right? And hopefully many, many more to come. Surely that outweighs the one in
500,000.
Exactly. It's not like you're not trying, right?
Yeah.
So if it's facilitating marriages, which is a great thing in our faith, so surely that outweighs any of the negatives which are happening.
I remember I talked to a lady who was a moderator of a. They used to be more well-known than less so now, but they were on a very religious end, if you will. They were super, like you didn't have any photos on that platform. You had to have a wali on every conversation. All that was hardcore, you would say, right? And even she told me the same stuff happens over here. We have Muslim men, big beards being very inappropriate, asking for blah, blah, blah. So the platform is irrelevant.
The platform is reflecting society.
It does, yeah. We have this problem. That Muslim, I don't know why I'm man bashing. Actually, to be fair, there's equally Muslim women who aren't so well behaved either. Let's be frank, right? But you just look at the numbers, it's definitely skewed towards men. It is. I've seen it, so I don't care what anyone says. But it's not just so one-sided. There are Muslim men and women who they want to mess about and they want to get up to no good, And the platform, unfortunately, will be misused by some people. Of course, I'm always the optimist, and I'm always like, no, focus on the good, try and double down on the good, and do what you can on the bad. And that's how I've always thought about it. So many people, I've had the whole haram and all this stuff. I don't get into it as such because anything good can be misused, anything. And we can always say, and I don't say this is the cop out, we can easily say, you know what, no, it's purely down to their intention and that's it. We don't need to do anything. I'm not of that opinion. It's down to their intention for sure. But then it's, all right, what do you do about it? And hence the blocking, the detection, we have 28 women all day long, 24/7, who are just administering the platform, getting rid of bad guys, looking into reports. We set ourselves a goal. Every report, we try and get back to someone within 24 hours. And this is on a platform, 10 million members. We're huge, right? And why? Because it matters a lot to me. Like, I don't want us to be that kind of platform. And so it's like we exist in spite of all that rubbish that goes on,
So the last question
is,
what does it mean to you to be a holistic Muslim?
Like, I'm quite a practicing guy. You feel me? I care a lot about my faith. And you realize, and maybe it's the older you get, the jigsaw starts coming together, if that makes sense. You realize that little bit of knowledge or wisdom, how it should affect your life, if that makes sense, right? How you need to be in this situation. Oh, actually, I see the wisdom of that. Small things. It's like we pray 5 times a day. And the older you get, the more you realize the wisdom of the praying 5 times a day. That no matter what, it is, whether you like it or not, it's ever present on your mind. That, I was going to say crap, but I need to pray in an hour, right? It's on my mind. And no doubt, why is it 5 times? Because within those windows, hopefully, it stops you doing bad stuff. Because it's hard to do something bad and be like, I'm going to pray in half an hour now. But it's weird because for probably 28 years of my life, it never clicked like that, if that makes sense, So for me, the holistic Muslim is you start trying to polish all aspects of your character, and ego is just one. You're dealing with others, trying to be fair. For me, a big bit, and look, I do think I see this as a bit of a life skill, or I don't know what you call it, but it's very liberating knowing that in anything I do, I'm just going to do my best and the rest is down to Allah.